In the era of technology, Lin Yan, an all-around technology enthusiast, traveled through the wilderness. The collision between primitive barbarism and future civilization. Bloody and ignorant intertwined. Lin Yan opened his eyes and then closed himself. Is this really a place where people can live? She originally intended to survive on her own, but as a human at the bottom of the food chain, she couldn't bear to be devoured by fierce beasts. I have no choice but to strive for self-improvement and self-reliance. Lin Yan believes that technology can change everything, and the prosperity of the human race is not a dream. Big infrastructure starts with the life of wild people. Keywords of the novel. Survival in the wilderness with no pop-ups. Download the complete collection of Survival in the Wilderness TXT, and read the latest chapter on survival in the wilderness. Chapter 1. Unable to live. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Unable to live in the damp and decaying cave. It is dark and suffocating, with a mixed odor that makes it difficult for people to catch their breath. The naked baby lay in the pile of leaves, unable to open its eyes, subconsciously pursing its mouth tightly. Just took a breath and almost made her ascend to heaven in place. It smells so bad, I really don't know where this place is. How could it be so black, so smelly, it's almost suffocating. Lin Yan never thought that dedicating himself to scientific research and becoming a baby was enough. It was so difficult to breathe a breath of fresh air. I really can't live anymore. It must have been a long time since she realized it. But she never saw the light. When she first became aware, she wandered in a warm environment, but before she could adapt, she involuntarily felt a squeeze and, accompanied by the noisy buzzing outside, arrived at this place that was difficult to breathe. She heard someone's voice, which was her mother's comfort. That's right, her hearing is normal and she can understand people's words, but she can't speak. She once struggled to open her mouth wide and only heard a few, sounds. It seems that her vision is abnormal, and I can't say that. So far, her eyes seem to be stuck by something, and she can't open them anymore. It's okay if she can't see it. Lin Yan hopes her sense of smell will fail at this moment. I have figured it out. She is a newborn baby with flexible limbs and a lack of 5 senses. She cannot speak and cannot see. In the darkness, Lin Yan didn't know the passage of time, only felt extremely agonizing and long. In order not to be suffocated, she made herself conform to her body's instinctive call and fell asleep soundly. I only wake up for a moment when I am hungry or urgently need to solve a physiological problem. At this moment, she happened to be hungry. Just as she took a breath, she was almost suffocated to death. But her survival instinct forced her to struggle here. After waiting, it seems that the mother of this body is not around and there is no one else around. But my body couldn't bear it anymore, and my stomach was growling. The taste of going hungry is really unbearable. Lin Yan wanted to turn over, but his body couldn't keep up with his thoughts. She could only stretch out her 2 little arms as much as possible, trying to press down on her tumbling belly. After tossing around for a while, it was completely useless. As her hunger grew stronger, she felt like she was about to starve to death when she finally heard the familiar footsteps. Very light, but very urgent. Lin Yan was certain that it was the footsteps of her aunt, and she was already very familiar with them. Sure enough, as soon as she finished thinking, she was picked up and her mouth was stuffed with something. Then she immediately sucked hard. The milk-flavored juice permeates the mouth. Lin Yan swallowed heavily. The feeling of hunger was really deadly. At first, she was a bit embarrassed, but apart from this stuttering, there was nothing else. The hunger in her body was too unbearable, so she compromised. After taking a few bites, Lin Yan had the strength to think of something else. The rough texture of the handle is accompanied by a foul odor. Lin Yan began to guess what exactly this was. She could only be certain that it was the clothes on Auntie's body, but she had no way of knowing exactly what it was. Since her birth, she has only been in contact with Auntie and seems to have become immune to this smell. I have no choice but to accept it. This baby's body makes her have to give in. Hua Hong looked at the baby in her arms, with a hint of smile on her dark and rough face. She whispered, "Good girl, it's not good for you to go hungry." Lin Yan was busy swallowing and waved his short arm, indicating that it was okay with his mother. Hua Hong pinched her little arm and smiled. This is her third child, and she is also a doll. 2 babies were born before, 1 male and 1 female, but neither survived. Hua Hong was extremely hopeful that this child could live strong. The Sun tribe has continued for many years, but its population has never grown. If encountering natural disasters and man-made disasters, it is difficult for children under the age of 10 to survive when they have to migrate and take shelter. As a member of the Sun tribe, Hua Hong is nearly 30 years old and has experienced 5 tribal migrations. Lin Yan had enough to eat and drink, and then fell asleep again. When she woke up, she was almost suffocated again. She instinctively wanted to open her eyes, thinking it was the same as before, but this time it turned out to be the same. Her eyes are fine. Joy spread, and Lin Yan danced and chattered incessantly. Then it was discovered that it was a dim and damp cave, with no one else besides her. The only light came from the front opening. Lin Yan judged that this is an underground cave. Why live underground? Being damp and suffocating is obviously not a good choice for living. No one can answer her question. Excitement subsided, and Lin Yan couldn't resist his instinctive drowsiness. As she was about to close her eyes, she suddenly woke up. What is the situation? She seemed to have just seen a huge science and technology museum, as if she had seen it before in her lifetime. Taking a deep breath, the smell still lingered, and Lin Yan was sure it wasn't an illusion. She had truly become a little doll. Close your eyes, and the science museum seems to exist in her mind. She is very certain that it is not a memory image. The Science and Technology Museum during his lifetime was grand and spectacular, with a variety of colors covering everything. That is the history of human evolution, including all records from the birth of humanity. The records are presented in vivid and realistic form through text and images. The technology museum in her mind was gray and looked like it, but she lost her soul. The only thing that can be confirmed is that when she opened her eyes, the door to the science museum opened, divided into many floors and compartments. In the middle of the first layer, there is a huge black sphere, resembling a black crystal ball. I don't know what it's for. And she can only read one compartment on the first floor. Because only that compartment is lit, and everything else is gray, as if permission has been restricted. Is this a travel benefit? Lin Yan looked curiously at the lit compartment, numbered 0101, which was completely different from the Science and Technology Museum in her memory. She didn't know what it looked like inside. As a baby, one can only eat, sleep, and eat. I happen to have nothing to do, let's take a look inside. I just wanted to go in and take a look, but couldn't resist my body's instincts and fell asleep. Awakened by the urge to urinate, Lin Yan didn't have time to shout, but he felt a surge of warmth beneath him. At this moment, she was completely ashamed. Uncontrolled body, it's really uncomfortable. Anyway, there were a bunch of leaves under her body, which didn't affect anything. She struggled to move aside, ready to continue sleeping. Suddenly recalling the discovery before going to bed, I took the time to take a look at what was inside the illuminated room number 0101 while I was still awake. Just as she finished thinking, she realized she was in it. This room is about 200 square meters long, and inside is an ancient wooden display rack, on which countless books are placed. First, she looked at the bookshelf and Lin Yan tried to take out the book. She pulled out a book with yellowed pages that seemed to have existed for many years. This should be a specimen collected in a museum. In her technological world, no one uses books anymore. But in human history, books have existed for a long time. Books, as carriers of human civilization inheritance, have a long history. After thinking too much, let's first take a look at what book it is. Upon closer inspection, Lin Yan found that the title of the book is the original manual. What book is this? She has a question mark on her forehead. I have opened a new book and made a brand new attempt. I hope everyone can support me a lot. **, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Wildlife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 3. Time Science and Technology Museum. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Time Science and Technology Museum. She saw a bird at least 20 meters away on the tree, the size of a child's head, dozing off. But how does that bird look like a sparrow? She searched for the appearance of the sparrow in her memory, and indeed it looked very similar, but its size had at least doubled more than 5 times. Unable to understand, Lin Yan decided to go to the Science and Technology Museum to broaden his horizons. Seeing the black crystal ball, Lin Yan stopped. She felt that it could occupy a central position and be useful. The Science Museum is a circular building, which is hollow. Black crystal balls can be seen on each layer. Being in such a prominent position should not be just for viewing. Approaching the crystal ball, Lin Yan saw a black panel underneath it, seamlessly integrated with the crystal ball. Without getting closer, he couldn't even tell. After looking for a while, there is a recessed area on the panel, like a palm. She just wanted to put her hand on it and try it on, only to realize that she didn't actually enter and couldn't put her hand on it. Before I could finish thinking, I realized that the black panel was lit up. It's a crystal screen with text prompts on it. Originally, the black crystal ball was the control center of the Science Museum, and the black panel was the starting device. Everything here is controlled by mental power. On the panel, there are settings options to choose from for voice navigation. Moreover, there are multiple options for voice navigation, including cute baby voice, lowly voice, and cool and so on. Lin Yan hesitated for a moment and chose the cute child. Immediately after, I heard, "Welcome to the Time Science and Technology Museum. I am Menhua Pangbao, and I am honored that you have chosen Pangbao to serve you." Lin Yan was very satisfied with the cute little soft voice. She asked, "Fat Bao, can you do anything I ask you to do?" Pangbao. "Yes, you are an esteemed guest at the Time Science and Technology Museum. Pangbao is dedicated to serving you and will do whatever you want." Lin Yan. "Can you introduce me to the Time Science and Technology Museum?" Pangbao said, "Great." The Time Science and Technology Museum is a collection with a long history, which houses the evolution of human civilization. If you want to know about the technological situation of any period, of course, it's not just technology, but also other information. The Time Science and Technology Museum can provide you with it. Is it just a collection? How many years has human civilization developed? Pangbao. Currently, there is only a collection function. According to your permission, human civilization has existed for 6,102,360 years from its inception. Are there any other features? Pangbao. Insufficient permissions, no comment. Lin Yan said, "Okay, what is this black crystal ball for?" Pangbao. "That's the core of the Time Science and Technology Museum, and everything here is controlled by it. To activate the core, you need spiritual power to reach level A." Lin Yan. "How is the level of spiritual power divided?" Pangbao. Spiritual power is divided into beginner level R, beginner level C, intermediate level Z, advanced level G, excellent level A, and special level S. Lin Yan was curious and said, "What level of mental power am I currently at?" Fat Bao. "You don't have a level yet." After a while, Lin Yanma asked, "How can I improve my mental strength?" Pangbao. "Talent accounts for 70%, 30% depends on hard work. Meditation and concentration can enhance mental strength. Before she could continue asking, Lin Yan's body was out of control again. Before going to bed, he was still thinking that he couldn't open the black crystal ball. Can she still see the things in the science museum? Wake up again, and be in the cave again, with a breath that makes one doubt life. Lin Yan is extremely eager to grow up quickly, not wanting to live here, not wanting to bear this inhumane torture. It's already dark, and Auntie is sleeping soundly on the side. She's idle and might as well enter the science museum. Pang Bao, are you there? Pang Bao. Yes, what instructions do you have? What are these gray rooms in the science museum? When can I enter? At present, only number 0101 can enter, and it is full of books. She wants to see what is in another room. Pang Bao. Insufficient permissions. Pang Bao, let me reveal a little bit. Fat Bao. No comment. Under Lin Yan's repeated persuasion, Pang Bao remained steadfast in his duties and did not tell her any useful information. There's no way, Lin Yan can only go and read a book. This time she chose the ancient human era, and after seeing less than 1/3, she fell asleep again. Before going to bed, Lin Yan once again exclaimed that the difficulties of ancient times were simply not a place for people to stay. The next day, she was carried out of the cave by her aunt to bask in the sun, and Lin Yan felt a little better. I eat and sleep every day, bask in the sun, and read when I'm bored. After more than a month of living like this, Lin Yan gradually adapted to the baby's life. During this period, she had never seen anyone else again, and that golden boy had not appeared either. Sometimes when held by my aunt, I can see people moving nearby with a wide field of vision. The distance is blocked by trees, and nothing can be seen. It seems that everyone is busy preparing food and preparing for the arrival of the cold season. The most unbearable thing for Lin Yan was that after several days of observation, she found that An Yang had never eaten cooked food. The meat was all eaten raw, and the scene of blood drenching her made her shudder. Then, Lin Yan was certain that there was no fire here, it was simply a disaster. The only consolation is the discovery of another function of the Time Science Museum. One day, her aunt held a fist-sized red fruit. After taking a glance, Pang Bao reminded her that after testing, the red fruit had a genetic sequence similar to an apple and belonged to the original apple. The original red apple is a species not found in the Time Science Museum and has been included. Lin Yan will be rewarded with 2 contribution points. A new term has emerged, contribution value. Pang Bao told her that the contribution value is the reward given to passengers by the Time Science and Technology Museum. After the permission is activated, the contribution value can be exchanged for the right to open a room and obtain important information. That is to say, the opening of room number 0101 was a benefit given to her by the Time Science and Technology Museum, and in the future, she will need to work hard to open every room. Not only that, her spiritual power is very important. If she can open the black crystal ball, there will be unexpected gains. Although the task was heavy and the road ahead was long, Lin Yan was relieved after feeling depressed for a while. The existence of the Time Science and Technology Museum has made her less lonely in this ancient primitive era, and there is also a room full of books that provide unlimited knowledge, enough to satisfy her spirit. She also confirmed one thing, which is that wherever her eyes go, like a precise scanner, the Time Science Museum will record it at any time, and fat treasure is always online. During this period, Lin Yan's ideas have undergone some changes. She originally planned to live on her own and be content with the situation, but her curiosity about the Science Museum made her decide to go out and explore more when she could walk freely. What would be inside such a large technology museum with so many rooms? With such curiosity, Lin Yan was extremely eager to grow up quickly. However, before she could learn to walk, the cold season arrived. The temperature dropped too much, and overnight, it changed from a hot summer to a cold winter. Lin Yan was covered in 2 layers of animal skin, which tasted suffocating, but in order to resist the cold, he had to endure it. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Overcoming the Cold Season. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Overcoming the cold season. Squandered under animal skin, the human calf was short and covered tightly, but still felt a piercing cold. No wonder it's called Hanji. Anyang is like a formidable enemy. In such extreme weather, there is no fire for heating, let alone cold clothing, and one can only rely on their body to support themselves. They are no longer in the initial cave, but have switched to a deeper one, just below the original cave. Lin Yan discovered that before the cold season arrived, Auntie had dug out 3 caves bit by bit with the sharp spikes polished with stones. The deepest one is used for living, while the smaller one next to it is used to store food and water. Most of them are sun-dried wild fruits and dried meat, as well as air-dried animals. A large pit was dug in the remaining area and covered with smooth stones, with a layer of huge leaves stacked on top. The beautiful banana leaves that can be seen everywhere here are very large, about 20 centimeters wide and 50 centimeters long. They are shiny and thick, and have a wide range of uses. Before the cold season arrived, her aunt filled the pit with water. The other largest cave is filled with various miscellaneous items, including stones, bark, leaves, hay, and more. It turned out that the cave was closest to the ground, and the entrance was sealed with stones, leaving small gaps for ventilation. There was a lot of mud and sand piled up inside, and a pit was dug. Later, Lin Yan discovered that it was just a toilet. I don't know how long it will take for the cold season to pass. Looking at such a simple and dark cave, Lin Yan became even more introverted. She doesn't know if she can get through the cold season. Lin Yan asked Pang Bao to record the time. Day by day, she slept all day except when she was breastfeeding. The same goes for Hua Hong, who is mostly sleeping. If I really can't sleep, I'll smear and go to the next cave to rub the bark. The rubbed bark will be softer and used as a rope in the east. Lin Yan couldn't see clearly what Aunt was doing, but Fat Bao knew and reported to her every day. When the water in the pit is almost depleted, Hua Hong will open the stones at the entrance of the cave, bring back some ice and snow, and pile them up in the pit to melt the water. During such agonizing days, Lin Yan became increasingly numb. When she thought she couldn't bear it anymore, one day the temperature started to rise, and in just 2 or 3 days, it was the hot season again. Hua Hong exclaimed in surprise, "Be good, the hot season is here. We've made it through. Auntie will take you out." Lin Yan was instantly energized. God knows she has the thought of not wanting to live several times a day, but the only good thing is that she is still a little baby, with milk to drink and no need to eat raw meat jerky. If she were to behave like her mother, she would have ended up on her own long ago. The scent in the cave is mixed with various flavors, really killing people. I don't know if she stayed for too long, but her sense of smell became increasingly dull and she managed to get through the difficult 3 months. That's right, with Pang Bao timing every day, Lin Yan is certain that the cold season has passed 90 days. When Lin Yan breathed in the fresh air and felt the warmth of the sunshine, he felt like he had gone from hell to heaven in an instant. She was too eager to breathe freely and bathed in the sunshine. After taking a few deep breaths, Lin Yan cheerfully shouted, "Finally come back to life. I thought it was the same as before, but this time it changed. She can speak now." Hua Hong hugged her little obedient and said happily, "Obedient, you can talk now." Auntie." Lin Yan's eyes burst into tears. It was really difficult. After more than 5 months, she was finally able to speak up. "Be good, you're so smart. You can say so much at once." Hua Hong was both surprised and delighted. The previous 2 children were talking word by word, but Lin Yan was able to speak a complete sentence fluently as soon as he spoke. This makes Hua Hong more convinced that obedience is naturally different. She laughed and said, "Be well behaved, my mother's little well behaved, smart and good. Looking. Let's go, my mother will take you to see the water." Lin Yan immediately nodded and obediently said, "Auntie, go quickly." This is her first opportunity to leave the cave 5 meters away, and she must not miss it. Hua Hong nodded her forehead, and her rough fingers touched the baby's delicate skin. She immediately restrained herself and only lightly touched it. I sunbathed for over a month before the cold season, and Xiaoguai turned quite black. After a cold season, it returned to its white and tender appearance. Hua Hong hugged Lin Yan and ran towards the direction of the Sun River. Lin Yan's eyes rolled around with a gurgling sound, constantly looking left and right, wanting to see clearly what the land of life looked like. Everywhere is grass and trees, just sprouting some tender shoots, a bright green. Most of the branches are covered with withered leaves, falling down. This is a relatively flat area, with weeds overgrown on the ground and tall trees visible everywhere. Although it appears to be in the wilderness, there are still traces of human life, with various stones scattered throughout. The most common slate is used by the people of the Sun tribe to dry dried meat and wild fruits. After walking about 1 kilometer, they arrived at the bank of the Sun River. This is a very wide river, shimmering in the sunlight and flowing slowly. The ice layer on the river is melting. You can vaguely see that the opposite bank of the Sun River is also covered in trees. A very beautiful and peaceful scene, like a scroll. Lin Yan had never seen such a beautiful scenery before, and couldn't help but sigh, "It's so beautiful." Hua Hong nodded and said, "It's very beautiful. Little darling, the cold season has just passed and there are fish in the water. Mom, go catch them. You lie here, be good." Lin Yan nodded and said, "All right, Auntie." As soon as Hua Hong left, Lin Yan immediately flipped over and crawled towards the river with his hands and feet. Lying down, one cannot see the beautiful scenery at all, and the view is completely blocked by the grass. I found a place with a lot of sand and rivers, and there were few weeds. Lin Yan lay down, picking up the mud and sand with his small hands, and played for a while. She suddenly realized that being a baby is also quite fun. By the time Hua Hong arrived carrying a plump big fish, Lin Yan had become a little clay figure. Hua Hong set the fish aside, picked up her daughter, and washed it in the water. Although the temperature has risen, the ice layer has not completely melted, and the water is still very cold. Exciting Lin Yan kept trembling. "Be good, it will be ready soon." Lin Yan took the opportunity and said, "Auntie, I have given myself a name, called Lin Yan." Hua Hong was taken aback for a moment and quickly accepted. "Okay, just call Lin Yan, little obedient." In fact, the people of the tribe are all free to choose a name, and everyone becomes accustomed to calling it out. When Hua Hong was young, she was also called obedient. Later, when she became more sensible, she saw that the red flowers were beautiful. However, there were many people in the tribe who called her Hong Hua, so she gave herself the name Hua Hong. Lin Yan said this, she was just surprised that her daughter knew how to name herself at such a young age. "Lin Yan, it sounds good too. I'll call you Lin Yan after Xiaoguai. My Xiaoguai also has her own name, and Auntie will call you Lin Yan in the future." As for the meaning of the name, it is not even in the consideration of flower bonuses. Lin Yan didn't expect it to be so easy. He was stunned for a moment and said happily, "Auntie, there are so many people by the river. Why do we live so far away?" She found that many people lived not far from the riverbank, which is why she asked this question. Their cave is over 1,000 meters away from the riverbank. Hua Hong quickly washed Lin Yan clean and wrapped him in animal skin. "The places by the riverbank have already been taken care of, only talented people can live here," she said. "How can one be considered a powerful person?" Lin Yan asked curiously. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Sparks. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 5. Sparks. Hua Hong held the fish in one hand and Lin Yan in the other, walking back while speaking to Lin Yan. In fact, she also knew that Lin Yan Kai had just survived a cold season and was still very young, but since her daughter asked, she had to inform her of this early on. Originally, the Sun tribe revered the mother and lived in matrilineal groups. The more women in the tribe have children and survive, the larger the group of this family. With more people, one can naturally occupy the land by the river. And the flower-red auntie passed away early, and her father didn't care about her either. She grew up by exploring alone and could only occupy a place on the edge. In the Sun tribe, the more women in a family, the higher their status. Women are able to have children and give birth to more offspring, so we all prioritize women. And the men of the tribe, who make a living by hunting, often wander around to continue the next generation. Of course, in families with more women, in addition to their own boys, they are also the choice for most men to rely on. Simply put, it is a family where women are the top priority, and the mother of the child is very certain, but the father cannot determine who it is. They have been migrating to this place for 6 cold seasons and this period has been relatively stable. The food hunted by the men in the tribe will be distributed by the families from which they come. The families with the largest number of people also occupy the most resources. Generally speaking, women who are suitable for pregnancy will prioritize food distribution, followed by strong men who need to go hunting. Next are the older children and the remaining women, with the elderly, weak, sick, and disabled coming last. Hua Hong belongs to the category of elderly, weak, sick, and disabled. As she gets older, she is able to conceive again, which has surprised many people. Lin Yan asked Pang Bao to calculate the age of Hua Hong, but at the age of only 30, he was already old, weak, sick, and disabled. Hua Hong is actually very happy, and the birth of Lin Yan has shown her hope. Lin Yan is a girl, as long as she can grow up safely, she will have a reliance. If it's a boy, when he grows up, he will go to another family to continue the next generation. If he's very strong, his care for her is also limited, and he can only barely survive. After listening to his mother's words, Lin Yan suddenly felt immense pressure. Auntie is treating her like a life-saving straw. If she can't survive, Auntie's old age will be miserable. She hugged Hua Hong's neck tightly and comforted, "Auntie, don't worry, I'll take care of you when I grow up." "Ha ha ha, good." Hua Hong smiled happily. This child was indeed intelligent and unique, showing her infinite possibilities. At the doorstep, Lin Yan said, "Auntie, I want to stay outside because the cave is too dark." Hua Hong readily agreed, allowing her to crawl and play on the ground alone while dealing with the fat fish on her own. When she first saw the fat fish, she distracted herself and glanced at the Science and Technology Museum, only to hear the voice of Fat Bao. Original grass carp detected, included, reward contribution value 3. Lin Yan lay on the torn animal skin that had just wrapped around her, casually covering himself with the large leaves of the beautiful banana he had just picked back. After Auntie put her down, she was naked. "Pang Bao, these wild grasses are also new species, why aren't there any rewards?" In Lin Yan's view, everything here is primitive and should be different from the genes of later generations. Pang Bao. The wild grass has been tested and the genetic similarity has reached over 95%, which is not included in the list. Lin Yan suddenly understood, only those with a genetic similarity of less than 95% will be included, right? Pang Bao. Yes, it is. If a new species is discovered, the reward contribution value depends on the situation and is generally very high. Lin Yan understood that her primary goal now is to learn how to walk without landing on all 4 limbs. During the boring time of the cold season, she read a lot of books and made a plan based on the current situation. When she can walk and have the ability to take action, she can start implementing the plan. Her plan is very clear, and the primary solution is the fire. She doesn't want to eat raw meat. Now almost 6 months old, besides drinking milk, my mother will feed her some wild fruits, which are sour, sweet and delicious. After waiting for a few months and weaning, I estimate I will have to eat meat. After working hard for more than 10 days, Lin Yan learned to walk. Although stumbling, at least both legs can somersault without falling. Before the joy of learning to walk had passed, Hua Hong took out a piece of fresh meat and fed it to Lin Yan. Lin Yan firmly refused, she only ate wild fruits. Hua Hong advised, if you can walk, you should eat meat, otherwise you won't have strength. Auntie is doing it for your own good. Auntie, I want to eat fruits, not meat, Lin Yan said with a bitter face. Auntie, is meat delicious? Hua Hong remained silent for a moment. Meat doesn't smell good, but eating it can make the body stronger. Not eating meat won't grow much. Auntie, I don't want to eat now. I'll wait until I feel like eating, okay? Hua Hong has no choice but to accept it. But she didn't give up either. She persisted in feeding every day, but never succeeded. Under such pressure, Lin Yan intensified the process and constantly experimented on how to successfully ignite the flame. If there is no more fire, she will be driven crazy by her aunt. She found various ways to obtain fire from the book, and the first attempt was to drill wood to start a fire, but she tried multiple times but was unsuccessful. Later, he collided with a stone and prepared to rub and catch fire, sparking a few scattered sparks. After more than 10 days of tinkering, there was no progress. Practice is much more difficult than theory. Lin Yan had to revise her plan and looked up at the increasingly scorching sun. She had a new idea. With short legs, I collected a pile of flammable fire grass, white thatch, dry leaves, etc. I found a large stone slab to stack together and exposed it to the sun. After sunbathing for 5 days, she picked up dead branches and leaves around the slate, preparing for the future. Rubbing the weeds and leaves that had been exposed to sunlight for several days with his hands, they were very dry and broke with a little force. Lin Yan felt that the time had come. While Hua Hong was resting, she pulled her auntie over and handed over 2 rough stones the size of her palms, allowing Hua Hong to rub hard on the slate. Although Hua Hong was puzzled, she saw her daughter insisting on starting a fire, so she decided to play with her child when she had nothing to do. The two of them tossed and turned for a while, both igniting a spark. The sun was shining brightly, and the hot person was dying, so they had to take a break. Hua Hong found a red apple and took a big bite to let her daughter grind her teeth. She ate the rest herself. Looking at the apple petals in Xiao Hei's hand, Lin Yan really didn't know whether to eat or not. Auntie is too careless. Hua Hong saw that her daughter only looked and didn't eat, and she didn't care. This daughter is indeed different from ordinary children. Often daydreaming alone, unsure of what to think, occasionally frowning and muttering to oneself. Hua Hong didn't pay much attention, she just needed to make sure the child wasn't hungry. After resting, Lin Yan continued to pester on Yang to make a fire. After almost half an hour, a few sparks finally fell on the pile of sun-dried leaves, igniting small flames. Hua Hong looked very magical, and just as she wanted to touch it with her hand, the flames suddenly burst into flames in the blink of an eye. A heat wave rushed towards her face, and Hua Hong was squatting down, sitting on the ground in fear. "Heavenly fire, it's heavenly fire," exclaimed in silence after shouting. He immediately realized that his daughter was still there. He picked up Lin Yan and ran a dozen meters away. Looking back at the burning flames, my eyes were filled with fear. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Illuminating New Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Illuminating New Skills. Lin Yanzheng was happy and finally started the fire. I didn't expect Auntie to move too fast, and by the time she regained consciousness, she had already run a long way away. Seeing Auntie's reaction, she was very scared and quickly asked, "What is heavenly fire?" Hua Hong lowered her head and glanced at her daughter, then looked at the pile of flames with fear. There are rumors in the tribe that the heavenly fire is powerful and is a punishment from heaven, which will burn everything. It's very scary. Auntie has seen the heavenly fire before, it's really scary. Lin Yan, what are you doing with the sky fire? Hua Hong's tone is serious and she really wants her daughter to realize the seriousness of the sky fire. Auntie, that's not the heavenly fire. Lin Yan looked into Hua Hong's eyes and was very serious. The heavenly fire is descending from above, and that's the fire we just started. Auntie, look, the fire is very small and it's impossible to burn everything. We can get closer and see more clearly. Hua Hong is half believing and half doubting. It's not a heavenly fire, it was just made by her own hands. Heavenly fire usually occurs when the heavens roar and destroy the earth. Under Lin Yan's persuasion, the two of them approached the fire. Hua Hong looked very carefully, the fire was only burning on the slate, and there was no fire around. It was indeed not a sky fire, and she breathed a slight sigh of relief. Why is there a fire? Lin Yan explained to his mother, these dry leaves are exposed to the sun, and after the water evaporates, they become very flammable. The sparks generated by the impact of the stone just hit them and ignited the leaves, causing them to burn. Hua Hong listened vaguely, what are you doing with fire? Although it's not heavenly fire, it also feels very dangerous. Lin Yan threw the picked dead branches into the fire and said, I'll know later. Auntie, give me some fresh meat. Lead the fire onto the simple stove she supported with a few stones, which is actually digging a small pit. The bottom and sides are supported by stones, with ventilation and firewood left in the front and back. There is a clean slate on top. It was carefully selected by Lin Yan and washed many times with water. She selected 5 flat stone slabs with a thickness of about 5 centimeters, none of which were significant. This is the slate she prepared for grilling meat on. These days, she has been pestering her mother to carve out a stone mortar with stones, ready to be used as a pot, which can be boiled with hot water to drink. She put in a lot of effort to eat cooked food and drink hot water. Hua Hong brought over a rabbit leg, weighing 3 pounds and still dripping blood. This is what she just hunted back yesterday and hasn't had time to make it into jerky yet. It's not easy to roast such a big rabbit leg. Lin Yan hurriedly said, Auntie, can you slice the meat thinly? It's such a big lump, it's not easy to bake. Hua Hong thought for a moment and placed the rabbit's legs on the large leaves next to her. She went to the cave and found a stone knife, but sharpened one side of the long stone to make it a knife. After cutting the leg of the rabbit for a while, I finally made it into a thick piece that was over 1 centimeter thick. Due to limited conditions, Lin Yan didn't pay much attention and found someone who was almost connected to the flesh skin, rubbing back and forth on the hot stone slab. After wiping the slate until it had a shiny finish, I took 2 thick pieces of meat and put them on top to start grilling. As time went by, sizzling oil bubbles kept popping up, with a meaty aroma that made Lin Yan breathe a sigh of relief. The first attempt should have been successful. Compared to Lin Yan's calmness, Hua Hong is very evident. She sniffed hard and kept getting closer towards the direction of the meat aroma. If it weren't for the unbearable heat of the flames, it would probably be able to stick to the slate. Lin Yanxiao said, Auntie, this is grilled meat. Wait a little longer, you'll be able to eat it soon. Even without seasoning, the meat grown in its original state is very delicious, and smelling it makes people salivate. It's so fragrant, Hua Hong swallowed unconsciously. When can I eat it? It's getting faster, wait a little longer. The fragrance of the meat kept wafting away, and before it could be cooked, the flower petals could no longer bear it. She quickly reached out and took a piece from the slate, which was so hot that she jumped and couldn't bear to throw it away. Lin Yan reacted quickly and quickly found a clean slate to let her hang it for a while. Nyang and Liang grilled for a while, waiting for the barbecue to cool down, swallowing saliva non. Stop. Lin Yan never felt that the meat was so tempting, he really wanted to swallow it in one gulp. The freshly roasted meat is extremely hot and difficult to swallow under the scorching sun. We can only wait patiently. Suddenly, like a gust of wind, the barbecue in front of me disappeared. Lin Yan didn't protect herself, but Hua Hong reacted quickly and looked at the barbecue that had protected her waiting for a long time. It's so delicious. Hua Hong had already stuffed the meat into her mouth, chewing it while agreeing, yes, it's fragrant and soft, it's delicious, it's a meat flavor I've never tasted before. After finishing speaking, she realized that her daughter's barbecue had been robbed. Busy looking at who is grabbing the meat, Lin Yan glared angrily at the person grabbing the meat and complained, "Give me back the meat." Her long-awaited barbecue, which she had put in so much effort to get a piece, had not even tasted before it entered someone else's stomach. The meat snatcher was an elderly woman with messy hair and no discernible color. She was a neighbor with floral red leaves. In fact, the leaves are only 5 years older than the flower petals, but they look more than 10 years old. Yi lives 10 meters away from Hua Hong and her family of 3, along with an elderly man named Mu Shi and a thin and weak little boy named Jiya. Yi is busy eating meat, ignoring Lin Yan. Swallow heavily, and in just a few bites, you'll get rid of a piece of meat. Hua Hong, this meat is so fragrant that you can smell it from a long distance. It's very appetizing. Do you still have it? It's gone. Hua Hong pointed to the slate and only grilled 2 pieces of meat, not enough to eat. Her eyes rolled as she continued, "This is the solution Lin Yan came up with, isn't it delicious?" Delicious. The grilled meat is too fragrant, and the leaves are very certain. It's just too little. If you want to eat, trade your good food for it. Lin Yanwu realized that Auntie doesn't want people to eat for free. Yi readily replied, "Okay, you wait." Not long after, Yi brought a large piece of meat and some green lemon fruits with the 2 members of the family. In the tribe, eating is the most important thing. Hua Hong looked at it and reluctantly agreed, asking them to pick up some firewood and stones to come back and prepare to build another barbecue table. Yi Zi and the others only noticed the fire and were extremely surprised. When they learned that barbecue was made using fire, they immediately went to work. Lin Yan is pleased to see this accomplished. One person's grilling is simply not enough to serve. She found branches again and hung the skewers on the fire to grill. This grills faster. 5 people worked hard all afternoon, barely filling their stomachs. Lin Yanren was too young to eat much, and most of the grilled meat went into Hua Hong's belly. The Yi family is extremely delicious, and even after finishing the piece of meat they brought, they are still unsatisfied. As dusk fell, the flames in the darkness shone brightly on their faces. Except for Lin Yan, everyone else was pleasantly surprised. Surrounded by the fire, Lin Yan refused to leave until it was very late. Unable to resist his drowsiness, he repeatedly ensured that the fire would continue to burn tomorrow before they dispersed. Lin Yan slept for a while, woke up in the middle of the night, and went to the Science and Technology Museum to take a look first. At first glance, I was stunned, with a prominent contribution value displayed on the black crystal ball. Pang Bao, what's going on? Pang Bao. You have lit up the fire and received a reward of 1,000 contribution points. Lighting up the new skill of cooking rewards a contribution of 100. Why is the gap so big? Fat Bao. In this era, there is no spark, and doing so has extraordinary significance. Cooking is a skill that comes with lighting a spark. Lin Yan understood that the meaning of fire is greater than grilled meat. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Developing Gourmet Food. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Developing Gourmet Food. The contribution value soared from single digits to 4 digits, and Lin Yan groped his chin, thinking about how to use it. Just as she was thinking, she noticed something unusual around her. It was Auntie who got up. She didn't trust the fire and was afraid it would go out. She got up to check. At this moment, she was facing the direction of the cave entrance and could vaguely sense all of this. Suddenly, Lin Yan noticed that her perception seemed to have increased slightly. Is this the spiritual power that Fat Bao said? After asking Pang Bao, her mental strength has not yet started. Lin Yan fell silent, lost in thought. Although she is only 8 months old now, she speaks clearly and walks briskly. No matter what, she doesn't look like a baby. Auntie not only doesn't find it strange, but also always praises her intelligence and takes pride in it. As for knowing so many novel things, telling Hua Hong that she was born to know them, her aunt was overjoyed. Since Auntie thought so and didn't think she was a demon, Lin Yan let go and did whatever she wanted without any hesitation. She has clear ears and eyes, and a keen eye, which is not a problem. The only thing that made Lin Yan frustrated was that she didn't even touch what Pang Bao was talking about as spiritual power. Hua Hong came back feeling dark and found her daughter still lying in her original position, then fell asleep. Lin Yan couldn't sleep anymore. She entered the science museum and began reading. The book in room number 0101 is still very useful. She learned about the discovery of ancient sparks and the lighting of cooking skills from the book. She wants to change her current situation, live in a house, wear comfortable clothes, and eat healthy and delicious food, all of which have a long way to go. Unconsciously, I thought of the boy named Yiya, who was 2 years older than me and very thin and frail, during the afternoon barbecue. Yiya is the 6th child of Yi, and the first 5 have not been raised. It's another boy, and Yi is also getting older, so the likelihood of reproduction is extremely low. Mu Shi is also very old, with injuries and nowhere to go, so he lives together with Yi. Their family situation is similar to that of Hua Hong, working tirelessly every day to take a bite. Unlike Lin Yan, Hua Hong has hope for the future. And the leaves no longer hold hope, just survive. Yeya's physical condition is not good, even if she can grow up smoothly, it cannot bring hope for change to that family. Thinking about Lin Yan falling asleep. The next day when I woke up, the sunlight shone on my face. It turned out that my aunt had picked her up early. The fragrance of meat wafted over, and Lin Yan took a sniff and rolled over to sit up. "Auntie, the meat is cooked." Hua Hong smiled at her daughter and said proudly, "All right. The dishes made by Auntie are just as delicious as those grilled by you." Yesterday, some of the meat she baked had blood streaks in it, while others were burnt, but Hua Hong didn't mind at all and swallowed them all. Early this morning, she sliced the remaining fresh meat and started grilling. Patiently flipping and adjusting the temperature, finally succeeded. Lin Yan approached and saw that his appearance had indeed improved significantly, and the aroma was also very tempting. "Hee, Auntie, you've taken out all the stored fresh meat, but after eating it, it's gone." Hua Hong's face stiffened, and then she said, "Let's eat it first. Later, Auntie will go find the prey and definitely come back with more animal meat. Hunting is very dangerous, Auntie needs to be careful." Lin Yan took a bite of the grilled meat, it was really good. Her stomach was full after only a few bites. "Auntie, I want to take a shower by the river. You happen to catch a few fish back, and the grilled fish is also delicious. I haven't washed it for a few days, rolling on the ground every day. The weather is hot and sweaty, and Lin Yan only wrapped a few large banana leaves around his body, which he couldn't bear anymore. She wanted to take a shower by the river alone, but Auntie firmly refused, saying that the river was not safe. The tribe lives underground because there are many crises on the ground. There are too many insects, ants, birds, and animals, making it difficult for people to guard against. Although there are also underground ones, they are always safer than above. Hua Hong wanted to taste the taste of grilled fish and immediately agreed. "Pack up the fire, take the barbecue slate back into the cave, and take Lin Yan to the side of the Sun River." After the fire started yesterday, Lin Yan realized that this place was lush with vegetation and could easily cause fires. Immediately dug a pit, surrounded it with stones, and moved the fire pile into it. Also clean up all the weeds in the surrounding area. She also popularized the possible disasters caused by fire to Auntie and the Yi family. When not in use, the fire pile will be properly placed, and no more firewood should be added. It should be buried with stones and sand, leaving a small gap to reduce contact with the air. Leave only the spark and ignite it again on the next use. The riverbank was covered by lush vegetation, and Lin Yan had already instructed his aunt to dig a pit on the riverbank to divert water into the river and use it as a bathing pool for her. The river is deep, and she is now less than half a meter tall, so it is not realistic to take a shower in the river. Rinsed thoroughly and wrapped in fresh big leaves, Lin Yan felt comfortable all over. Without shoes to wear, she could only wrap her little feet in more resilient leaves. The indigenous people here do not wear shoes and have been walking barefoot since childhood. Whether in hot or cold seasons, they have already developed a pair of good feet that are wear-resistant and durable. Auntie, I've washed it. Have you caught any fish? Hua Hong excitedly said, I caught a red fish, come and take a look. Lin Yan was also excited upon hearing this. This is a new species, right? Recently, my aunt has also come to the river to catch fish when she has free time, but the success rate is not high. She only caught 2 plump big grass carp. After seeing it clearly, Lin Yan immediately entered the Science and Technology Museum, and it was indeed a new species. Primitive red koi, reward contribution value of 5. Lin Yan learned through Pangbao that the animals here are several times larger in size than those commonly included in science museums, and few have a genetic sequence similarity of up to 95%. So, as long as you see it, you can basically get the contribution value. She enjoys seeing its success and can earn contribution points without deliberately searching. Of course, all of this is limited to living beings, and if they die, it is of no use. After more than an hour by the river, a big red koi was harvested, and the mother and daughter returned home. Lin Yan asked his mother to cut out a small piece of the big koi and give it to her, preparing to use her stone mortar to make fish soup. Saying it's fish soup is simply boiling fish in water, with limited conditions, that's all. Nyang Liang has 1 barbecue and 1 soup. In no time, the 3 members of Ye's family came over. Yi observed Lin Yan's stone mortar for a while, and this was a new method. She will taste it later. If it's delicious, make a stone mortar when you go back. In fact, she had already made the fire pit this morning, set up the barbecue table, and the stone slabs were all ready. I came here just to bring the fire over, so that her home would have a fire and she wouldn't have to eat raw meat anymore. Lin Yan was very willing to help and found an arm-thick piece of wood to ignite, allowing Yi to take it to her house. The leaves prepared many withered branches and withered leaves, and soon a new fire was ignited. The family looked at the blazing flames with a long-lost smile on their faces. Lin Yan invited 3 people to her house to taste fish soup. Although the taste may not be very good, it is already the best that the existing conditions can achieve. She also crushed the wild fruits and lime that she took yesterday, and put some juice into the stone mortar. I don't know if the taste is any better. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Weaving Grass Shoes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Weaving Grass Shoes. Without a bowl, Lin Yan cleaned a few sunken stones and used them as bowls. The fishy smell still lingered in the soup, and Lin Yan took a shallow sip. I breathed a sigh of relief, but fortunately, it wasn't particularly unpleasant and I could barely swallow it. Others who tried fish soup for the first time found it delicious. Although slightly inferior to grilled meat, drinking hot soup makes my body extremely comfortable. Yi immediately said, I'll make a stone pot to boil soup and drink when I go back. I think other animal meat can also be cooked and consumed. Sure. Lin Yan immediately responded, Yi is still young and weak. Eating raw meat and drinking cold water is not good, and it is easy to get sick. Let him eat more cooked food and drink hot water to grow strong. Hua Hong's eyes lit up and she said, "Are you able to grow so well because you never eat raw meat or drink cold water?" Lin Yan nodded his little head. Yi also understood. She had already noticed that Lin Yan was different. It turned out to be because of this. "Alright, in the future, I'll also barbecue and make soup for Yiya. Not only boiling soup, but also boiling water in a stone pot. Let it cool down when it bubbles before drinking." This meal was very satisfying for several people. Yiya looked at Lin Yan with a persistent smile, and her thin and dirty face showed that she was very happy. Lin Yan is also very happy. Yiya's body is thin and weak. If she can take good care of it, she may live longer. The survival rate of children here is too low, 10 out of 10. Lin Yan's eyes rolled around and he said, "Auntie, you adults are all busy. I want to play with Yiya and make something while you're away." "What are you doing?" Hua Hong asked, and the adult was indeed very busy. As long as there is still the ability, they are almost always searching for food during the day. Hunting is difficult and it's not easy to eat meat, but it's still possible to find some wild fruits to eat. Before Lin Yan could reply, Yi had already said, "Alright, Lin Yan is smart and happens to bring wild sprouts. Hua Hong, let Mu Shi take care of the two offspring in the future, and let's go find food together." Hua Hong looked at Mu Shi and thought this idea was very good. These days, she has been around home and dare not walk far. It's because Lin Yan is still too young to take care of. Mu Shi suffered serious injuries in his early years and was saved from hunting. He happened to stay to take care of his offspring. So, it was decided. The next day, Hua Hong repeatedly reminded Lin Yan not to run around and to follow Mu Shi obediently. Finally, under Lin Yan's urging, they left with Yi, who had already become impatient. Compared to Hua Hong's verbose words, Yi only glanced at Yiya and didn't say a word more. Previously, when we were together, there were very few words and we were always silent. Lin Yan originally thought that he had this temperament. It wasn't until we actually got along that we realized it wasn't true. When one big and two small are together, Mu Shi and Yiya seem to have opened a conversation box, always having many problems. They watched as Lin Yan's gaze grew more and more surprised. A little bit, born with extraordinary intelligence, surpassed their cognition. The two instinctively felt that following Lin Yan was good. Lin Yan looked at Mu Shi and said, "Let's go get some cattails. Poo grass is everywhere, you don't have to walk far to find it." Mu Shi nodded and agreed. "What do you want poo grass for?" "The cattail is slender and resilient, and can be seen everywhere. It is often picked up by people and the meat is hung up to dry." "I'll know later," Lin Yan didn't elaborate. This is just an excuse. She wants to see what's nearby. The resilience of the cattail is good, and she is planning to get some back to make grass shoes. The feet wrapped in leaves will rot after only a short walk. It's time to get yourself a pair of shoes. Wild sprouts are rare to come out, and everything looks strange. While using sharp stones to vigorously cut the cattail, he asked Lin Yan in a soft voice, "The cattail is too difficult to cut. What do you want it for?" Lin Yan smiled and looked at his black feet. "Do your feet hurt?" "It hurts," said Yiya honestly. "When I make you a pair of grass shoes, your feet won't hurt anymore and you won't be afraid to walk long distances." "What are shoes?" "I'll know when it's done." Yiya immediately regained her energy and fought for the shoes. The three of them walked less than 50 meters away and brought back a bunch of cattails in one morning. Lin Yan commanded to hang the cattails under the shade of the trees, and wait for some of the water to evaporate before starting work. Mu Shi kept secretly observing Lin Yan's every move, thinking to himself that she was really different. No wonder Hua Hong looked so closely and was proud. Having been able to ignite a fire and make delicious food for so many years, no one in the tribe has been as clever as her. Mu Shi vaguely felt that she was different from them and would definitely be the smartest person in the Sun tribe in the future. Lin Yan cooked a pot of meat soup at noon. There was no fresh meat at home, so she asked Mu Shi to help take a dried meat and boil it in a stone mortar. She also added lime juice and apple juice to season it. The taste may be a bit strange, but it tastes better than boiled meat. Mu Shi and Yi watched carefully, silently remembering that they would do the same in the future. The desire for new skills is their instinct, and in this primitive period, people are full of curiosity about all new things. After finishing his meal, Lin Yan picked up the cattail and looked at it. It had lost some of its moisture and had not completely dried in the sun. It was full of resilience. Looking back on the appearance and production process of the grass shoes from the book, it is confirmed that there is nothing missing. Start focusing on competing with the cattail in your hand. How did the little hand handle it? It didn't take long for it to scatter. Lin Yan was not discouraged either. He tried again and again, countless times, and his little hands turned red with grinding. Finally, he had a certain appearance. Just as she focused on weaving grass shoes and her mental energy was highly concentrated, her body seemed to break through some kind of limitation. She was just immersed in weaving grass shoes and didn't care. Mu Shi and Yi squatted beside Lin Yan, following her movements over and over again. After more than 2 hours, Lin Yan held a simple version of the grass shoes in his hand, but had a preliminary appearance. He fixed the cattail in the expected shape and wouldn't easily scatter. The gap between the reeds in the grass shoes is very large, and it can barely be seen at all. It is crooked and twisted, and the only advantage is the fine weaving of the sole. She breathed a long sigh of relief and said, "It's really not easy. It looks simple, but it's too difficult to do." Moving her stiff neck, she looked left and right and saw that the cattails in the hands of Mu Shi and Yi were still in a mess, obviously not in the right place. Lin Yan took a breath and began to explain step by step. After almost an hour, Mu Shi and Yi also made a simple version of the grass shoe. After learning it, the three of them put in more effort and continued to tinker with the cattail. Lin Yan's feet are very small. With previous experience, he quickly made a small grass shoe again. She eagerly put it on her feet, stood up, and walked around. It's a bit rough, but it's more durable than leaves. Lin Yan looked at the single-layer sole of the shoe, lost in thought. Since the single layer is too thin, then make a few more layers of base and fix them together with fine cattails, which is already thick. Lin Yan, look, my grass shoes are ready. Yi's voice brought Lin Yan back to her senses. Upon closer inspection, she immediately felt an urge to cover her face, and she even ignored the issue. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Introduction to Spiritual Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Introduction to Spiritual Power. I saw that the shoes made by Yi and Mu Shi were the same size as hers. Although they looked crooked, only she could wear them. Lin Yan helped his forehead and sighed. Grass shoes can be made bigger or smaller. You can adjust them according to your own foot size. Yi immediately asked, how to adjust. He did exactly the same thing as Lin Yan taught. Lin Yan thought for a moment and then started again, teaching them hand in hand. You can use more cattail on the soles of the shoes and make them bigger. After this teaching, the wooden stone statue suddenly opened its mind and immediately said, if there are enough cattails, can we make a very large one? He reached out and compared, his expression excited. Lin Yan nodded and said, yes, you can make it bigger without making shoe uppers, and make it into a large piece. That thing should be called a mat. What is the mat? Noya asked curiously, her hands moving non-stop. Lin Yan walked around and gestured, weaving such a large mat with cattail grass, laying it on the ground, you can lie down or sit down. If you put it in the hole, you don't need to stick it to the soil. You can also use a mat to stick the wall of the hole. The more she spoke, the more excited she became. Why didn't she just realize that the mat had many uses? With Lin Yan's imagination, Mu Shi and Yi were stunned, never expecting her to associate so much. However, she is quite right, the mat is indeed widely used. The three of them brainstormed for a while, full of enthusiasm. I didn't feel hungry and worked until the sun was setting, but I didn't stop. Hua Hong and Yi came back to see them focused on their work and were extremely curious. After reading for a while, they couldn't understand. When they saw the achievements of Lin Yan and the others in the afternoon, several pairs of crooked and different-sized grass shoes, and after the three of them explained, they were also excited. Poo grass is everywhere, it's not difficult to find it. The team of weaving grass shoes has added 2 more people. Just by the flames, the 5 of them worked for a while longer, worried that it would be too late and the flames would attract beasts, so they had to stop. Before going to bed, everyone was thinking about getting up early tomorrow to make a straw mat. Although stone slabs are useful, they are inconvenient to move and heavy, while grass mats are different. They can be large or small, and can be easily carried around. Especially the wonderful use of grass shoes can protect the feet. With excitement, fell into a deep sleep. The next day when Lin Yan opened his eyes, it was already bright and the sun had risen high. Maybe I was tired yesterday and slept too heavily. When she got up and walked out of the cave, she saw many people gathered in front of her house. Lin Yan looked quietly, everyone busy competing with the cattail in their hands, and there were 12 people, 8 of whom she had never seen before. Approaching Hua Hong, Lin Yan asked in a milky voice, "Auntie, who are these people and where do they come from?" I speculate in my heart that it should be the neighbor living in this area. These days, her house has been making a lot of noise and playing with grass shoes, making it difficult not to attract attention. Sure enough, I heard Hua Hong say, "They all live here, not far from our house. This is blue flower, this is red flower. Either flowers or grass, they are all women who look younger than flowers." Everyone generously smiled at Lin Yan, with a simple and honest smile. Lin Yan confirmed that they come from 5 families and live less than 20 meters away from her home. They are usually busy going out early and returning late, and rarely meet. When the fire started at night, someone noticed and observed for 2 days before coming over to inquire. Hua Chao didn't mind at all, enthusiastically promoting the wonderful use of the fire to them, and also recommended grass shoes and grass mats. The Yi family is also helping out on the side. So, there is now this scene. They looked at Lin Yan with joy in their eyes. Such a clever little boy is the favor of the sun god towards the tribe. Lin Yan smiled awkwardly and kept them busy, eating a red apple, boiling hot water to drink, and then starting to study her grass shoes. She wanted to make thick-soled grass shoes, but she was too busy weaving grass mats yesterday and didn't take it seriously. Many people have great power, and news spreads quickly. When Lin Yan finally made a 3-layer grass shoe, he tried it on his feet and it was very easy to wear. The thick sole was indeed much more comfortable. At this point, her name had already spread throughout the Sun tribe, and everyone was curious except for those who went hunting. They all came to Lin Yan's house to visit. On this day, the house was particularly lively, with people coming and going. Lin Yan stopped weaving straw shoes and sat under the shade of a tree, waiting for people to come and see her, asking various questions. She smiled and talked to everyone, asking for their names without getting tired of it. I finally met the other people in the Sun tribe, and I no longer see fixed people every day. Although everyone looked similar, with dark skin, dry and rough skin, wrapped in leaves, and pure primitive savages, Lin Yan was also very happy. Preliminary statistics show that there were 324 visitors, all of whom were women of varying ages. Among them, the name repetition rate is extremely high, with 25 names called Honghua. They are all very simple and kind, with no calculations or interests in their eyes, only sincerity and kindness. Lin Yan thought that the life of a wild man is simple, and he doesn't have any other thoughts. Every day is just a busy job for stuttering. They have no other thoughts, they just want to live, this is human instinct. Having gained a preliminary understanding of the tribe, Lin Yan received great praise. From this day on, more and more people are looking for her. The first thing that comes to mind subconsciously for any problem that one cannot understand is to find Lin Yan. Lin Yanren has short calves and limited freedom, but he is willing to help others clarify. In just 10 days, every household in the Sun tribe set fire to a fire, and people started eating cooked food, putting on grass shoes, and laying grass mats. An 8-year-old girl came to find Lin Yan with a straw mat she had made herself. When Lin Yan saw the straw mat in her hand, he was startled. This girl came to me a few days ago to solve her doubts, her name is Caoji. At that time, I thought grass branches were very spiritual, so I mentioned that there are many different patterns of cattail weaving. In addition to simple horizontal and vertical interweaving, you can also use more grass or change the steps of horizontal and vertical interweaving. After only a few days, Kusaki had a thorough understanding. The grass mat she made was made by twisting the cattail into thin ropes, which were thick and thin, making the mat more delicate and tight. Lin Yenzan said, "Caoji, you're too smart to think of making it this way. It looks better and works better." Chao Ji smiled awkwardly and said, "Really? Of course it's true. You did a great job, and in the future, you can think of other ways to create more designs." Chao Ji received recognition and encouragement, and smiled even happier. That night, Lin Yan finally remembered to go into the Science Museum to take a look. He had been too busy lately and didn't even bother to come in. Maybe it's because I'm busy, and my small body can't bear the fatigue. I always feel tired and sleep a bit too much. As soon as I entered, I heard Pangbao's voice. 10 days ago, your mental strength reached level R. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. The Sun Tribe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The Sun Tribe. Lin Yan was stunned. She hasn't been here for a few days, and her mental strength has reached the entry-level. How did this actually happen? Looking back on what she had done these days, there was nothing special about it. So, how did something as mysterious as mental power come about, and she didn't seem to feel much about it? Unable to understand, Lin Yan asked directly, "Fat Bao, what is spiritual power? Why can't I feel it?" Pang Bao. Spiritual power is an invisible force released by biological brain tissue. Your spiritual power has just reached level R and the changes are not obvious. To perceive it, you need to focus on feeling it. You don't need to look with your eyes, you need to listen with your ears, and you can use your spiritual power to perceive the existence of the outside world. When the level reaches a certain level, you can also control external objects. So mysterious. Lin Yan has always been a staunch member of the Science Party, with no other beliefs. In her past life, she devoted herself to research and was addicted to it, unable to extricate herself. Traveling once, the first encounter with this divine power. Close your eyes and follow what Pangbao says. Then, Lin Yan remained motionless for a long time. She thinks this is not scientific. Eyes closed, unable to see light, everything should be the imagination of the brain, a picture of nothingness. But now, she could actually see the scenery around her, which was still colorful, like a sphere with a radius of less than 1 meter within an aperture, and she was at the center of the sphere. This should be what Pangbao refers to as spiritual power. Lin Yanjing fell silent, wanting to pick a handful of wild grass or a stone from the aperture. He tried many times but was unsuccessful. That is to say, her current mental strength can only be seen, not touched. Opening your eyes, the aperture disappeared. Pangbao, can mental power only be used with your eyes closed? Fat Bao. Of course not. You have weak mental power and are not proficient in controlling it. You can use it anytime after becoming familiar with it. However, using mental power will consume you, so it should be used in moderation. Lin Yan embarked on a wonderful journey, spending 2 consecutive days delving into her spiritual power, wanting to familiarize herself with this novelty. She really managed to use her mental power without closing her eyes. After being overjoyed, Lin Yan immersed himself in real life again. She feels that the current situation is still very difficult, and there are too many things to do. I've been busy these past few days and haven't seen anyone looking for her. Lin Yan wanted to learn more about his current situation, so he started acting like a doll again and allowed others to come and visit. She needs to have a few conversations with everyone to get the information she wants. A month later, she met nearly 10,000 people, all of whom were members of the Sun tribe. From their mouths, it was learned that the Sun tribe had been rooted here for 6 cold seasons, and people were always vigilant. If a powerful herd of beasts attacked, they should be prepared to migrate at any time. The herds of beasts are terrifying, trampling on everything they pass by. Little humans have no resistance in front of the herds. The animals here are very tall, which should be different from what she knew, but considering the species she included in the Science Museum, it should be that all the animals have been magnified several times. Without more information, it is impossible to determine whether there have been any changes in other aspects besides body shape. In addition to herds of animals, they also need to guard against the rise and fall of river water, fear of thunder and fire, and so on. This is a group of very ignorant humans, as if they were just the beginning of humanity. They only rely on instinct to survive, without complex ideas. There is no text, no numbers, and no scientific knowledge system here. The Sun tribe has nearly 10,000 people scattered by the Sun River. Family is based on blood ties, and women are respected. There is no surname yet, only a simple name. This group of people has been living together, migrating and living together in groups. They don't know how long time has passed, they just differentiate time by the changes in hot and cold seasons. Lin Yan has already timed out the cold season for 90 days, but no one can tell her how many days there are in the hot season. Fortunately, she had already made Pangbao record it. When the cold season arrives, we will know how many days there will be in the hot season. The objective condition is that if you want to know more, you can only see it yourself, and relying on other people's descriptions is simply impossible to clarify. Lin Yan felt that the heavens were still very kind to her, at least the language was common, saving her a lot of trouble. The largest family in the Sun tribe is the Huangye family, with 36 people. Huang Yi is also the longest living person in the tribe. Lin Yan has seen an elderly person with yellow leaves, gray hair, and a hunched body. The age tested by Pangbao is 52 years old. The second largest family is the Allen family, with 29 people. Allen is already 49 years old. There is a personal record of Pangbao, and Lin Yan has recorded everyone's situation. At the beginning, only the name, gender, and age were briefly recorded. After her spiritual power became our level, the Science Museum gave her new benefits, and everything she saw could be photographed and stored. And the size is not limited. This is the most basic function of a science museum, storing information without worrying about not being enough. Pangbao records are no longer just text, with pictures. According to Pangbao, as long as her mental strength increases, she can fully achieve the function of image storage. Lin Yan is more eager for spiritual power and often focuses on cultivation, hoping to break through as soon as possible. The breakthrough of spiritual power is not easy. Pangbao told her that her talent is very good, and as long as she works hard, she will definitely succeed. Yiya became Lin Yan's little follower, almost inseparable. The little boy, who is almost 3 years old, is gradually becoming more outgoing. Often chasing after Lin Yan's buttocks and asking various questions. For example, why does the sun rise and fall, why does fire heat up, why does fire make meat more delicious, and so on. Lin Yan opened the door to a new world for him, and if he found anything he didn't know, he would definitely get a detailed explanation. Although he still couldn't understand many things, he jotted them down and delved into them whenever he had time. Lin Yan felt that Yi was very intelligent and had a flexible mind, so he subconsciously told him many things, giving him a cognitive understanding in making subtle changes. This month, Lin Yan has been busy meeting people to understand the situation, without making any other fuss. Everyone in the tribe has put on grass shoes, laid grass mats, and started a fire. Lin Yan thinks it's time to do something else. It is inconvenient to use various tools made of stones every day, and wrapping them with leaves and animal skins is not a long-term solution. Let Mu Shi take her and Yi for a walk around, find the grass branch's house, call her up, and then call Little Stone and Hua Hua. Little Stone is a 5-year-old boy with agile eyes. Hua Hua is a 7-year-old girl with sparse hair and a thin and disfigured figure. Finding them was something Lin Yan had carefully considered, and the 4 of them were the smartest children in her opinion. The people in the tribe who are physically strong are busy making a living. The left behind are all thin and weak children, as well as the elderly, weak, sick and disabled. Lin Yan doesn't want to find more people for now. She is small and short, so it's best to play with the children first. End of this chapter.